We're seeing now the Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach Daf Chof Beis. Gemara brings down here the din of Avodah Zarah, Tumah Avodah Zarah. We learn out that Avodah Zarah is metame. The Gemara learns it out that it's just like a mace. The Gemara says, if you put in the fingers in a house that has a dead body, you might say that also by Avodah Zarah, if you put in your fingers in a house that has Avodah Zarah, it means in a bias that is Avodah Zarah itself. So we learn out Netitza Gomer and Beis HaManuga. Ma Beis HaManuga Meshayachnes Roishe Beruboy, as Avodah Zarah Meshayachnes Roishe Beruboy. Only if you put in your body and your head, most of your body, that's when you become Tomei. Omer Abchanina, Zois HaMeres She'ein Tumas Avodah Zarah Mechuveres. It's not Menat Torah. Mechuveres in the language of Yerushalmi means it's not clear, it means it's not Menat Torah. The lochein, if it's not so, it means if it Tumas Avodah Zarah is Menat Torah, Makisha lekalmi, Makisha lechumran. Why are you only looking at everything to make it cooler, to make it lenient? He's saying that just like Menuga is not, just like Mace is not Metama B'Kadasha, and just like Sheretz is not, everything you're trying to make it easier instead of making it hard. So the Gemara says no. Rabbi Mana says Mechuveresi. It is really Menat Torah. The Tumas of Avodah Zarah is Menat Torah. V'lo umakisha l'meisa l'sheretz l'lamed mena l'kalam shaba. He's saying that since it's iskish to both of them, it doesn't make sense. If it would be only the chumrah, then you should be makish to mace and that's it. From the mere fact that the Torah is makish Avodah Zarah to mace and sheretz, that alone proves that the Torah wants you to go after the kulas. So we're saying that Avodah Zarah is broken if it is a piece that's big as an olive, it's metame. But if it's a Avodah Zarah that the very tiny miniature Avodah Zarah, it's also metame if that's the full Avodah Zarah. The more Rab Yaisi by Bun Reb Chama by Goyim Shem Rav, Baal Roish Gevia Have, Icha Afon Have. This Avodah Zarah that's called Baal was tiny, like a bean, like the part of the body that looks like that. Imatam, where do we see that? Vayisim lahem Baal Beris. Beris means that part that is the person's where he makes the bris milah, and that they used for made as a shape of that, and that was their god. My time there Rabbi Akiva. Where does Rabbi Akiva know? Rabbi Akiva says that we're going back to our Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva says that Avodah Zarah is matama kenida. So the Gemara says sav tesavenu kenida. So this Gemara here, the way it's written here is very, very hard to understand. First of all, saif tesavenu kenida. Where do you say nida means saif tesavenu? The word ta'eva says by everything, by sheretz, by nida, and a lot of hardships if you learn this gerus of saif tesavenu kenida. So I'm very much inclined to change it. That's supposed to be Tizreim K'moy Dova Kenida. I don't know how the mistake came here, but everything works out so beautiful if you just change this. It could be that the garrison, the one that was reviewing this, somehow got confused with the last part. It says shaket to shaketzenu, so he thought that you have to be goyrus here, saif to savenu. But this is very much mistaber. It was the real nusach here. Ma'im Kaimer Rabbanan Talmidei Rabbi Akiva. What do they do with this pasuk? Tizrem K'moi Dava Tzei Toimer Loi. So in the end of this pasuk it says Tizrem K'moi Dava Tzei Toimer. He learns out Tzei Eovan Avleu. He learns out it's a lashon of it. You should make it like tzoya, and you should call it any bad names that's possible. Ma'am Kaimer Rabbi Akiva Talmidei Rabbanan. Shaktzeu v'navleu. So the Akiva says that pasuk shakas shaktzenu. You learn out this fact that you have to use derogatory names or very not even names that are not appropriate, so to speak. You should use it for Avodah Zarah. Menayim l'Rabbanan nivlei. So here again, in the Girsem Masechta Shabbos, it's ma'inun, not minayim. Ma'inun. What is it, Rabbanan nivlei? What does it mean, nivlei? And it's not only Rabbanan. What means nivlei? They say navleu. What is this? Shmuel bar Abba b'shem Eblazer. This is like a side, like a Maimer Amuzger. It's a statement to understand better what it means. You should derogate it, and you should embarrass it, and you should call it all kinds of nicknames that are to show how disgusting it is. What does it mean? You call it the face of a dog. Ein kois, kois is a cup, a goblet. Gadya means good luck. It's a galya. Galya is the excretant of a body. The chume boy kimer avuna ksiva I asher in base oven miked no veisel miked koin is a base ach koin is base oven. Oven is a bad word. It means that people that are doing things unjustly. It's part of called pe'ali oven. Tanshim ablazer loy ratza likros omla koin oisa amida. It means do not call it omla. Ella amida. So it's missing a few words here. In Masechta Shabbos it says that Tamon, there used to be a minhag that you called a good deed Pa'ola Tova Tamon Tzavchen le pa'ola tova, for a good deed. They used to call, when somebody did a good deed, they used to say amla. That was the word of saying that you did something good. And the tzavchen le doin shemei regalayim amida. So that's, instead of calling it amla, you call it amida. So this is also all examples of how to embarrass the Avodah Zarah. Now the Gemara goes back to the main sugya. What does he need this pasuk? We see that Rabbi Akiva learns out from Shakis to Shaktzenu, and he learns out that's Kenida from the first part of the pasuk. Tizrem K'moidava. Why does he need this pasuk tzei toimer? Why does he need these words tzei? The Gemara answers, it's teaching you that you only become tamei if you put, we heard before this halacha, that if you went into a house that's Avodah Zarah, so the house only can make you tamei if you put in roishe v'rubai in this house. In contrast to oil amaze, that even if you put in your finger. So this is what you learn from tzei. Tzei means you're already there inside. It has to be, most of your body has to be there already. Now, the one goes back to the main sugya that we are talking now, the Tumah of Avodah Zarah. So there's two shittas here. How about the Tashmishay of Avodah Zarah? So Avodah Zarah has pans and shovels that you use to do avodas. So the question is, what tumah do these accessories have? A parenthesis. Is masnita amra Avodah Zarah kenida mshamshel kenida? Same tumah, according to Rabbi Akiva. Is masnita amra Avodah Zarah kenida mshamshel kesheretz? No, they are lesser degree. They're only like a sheretz, not matame b'masa, only b'maga. Man amar Avodah Zarah kenida mshamshel kenida nicha. Makes sense. Man amar Avodah Zarah kenida mshamshel kesheretz. Kol atzma ina kari nida ela b'shamshel. So the pasuk there, you look inside the pasuk, Tishnik meidov atzei toim eloi, is talking about mshamshel. So how can you say that the pasuk that Akiva learns out is from Tishrim K'meidova, and that pash itself is talking about Mishamshel? Gemara answers, the pasuk b'chakuken al gufa. They're talking there about an ephod, that they had a picture of Avodah Zarah on the ephod. The Omar Rabbi Yankov the Kfar Chanon, the pasuk b'shtachvel ephod atzmoi. Or it can be that you bow down for the ephod itself. I don't know if it's two terutzim or the same teretz. Not so sure what he's trying to say, but anyway, there is a case where is not the ephod, that's the apron that they use, it's not just accessory, it's Avodah Zarah itself, because you bow down for the ephod, or you have a picture of Avodah Zarah there. Now the one goes back, Masnisen command the Omer Avodah Zarah kenedem shashel keneda. Tanin and Avona ve'aitzav afarim etamak yesheretz v'chuli, and it says there that Rabbi Akiva says kenida, and the Mishnah. So we see from the Mishnah, Mishamshel means the house where you place the Avodah Zarah is Mishamshel. So we see that even that is metamek kenida. And the Gemara answers, the passer mishtachvel bayis atzmoid. Omer Rabba Rav Huna b'shem Rav mishtachvel bayis asaroi. It means you bow down for the house itself, for that house of worship. So it's not an accessory; it's the actual Avodah Zarah. Reb Zeira Reb Abahu b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Hamagdishes habayis ein me'alam boy. Somebody says my house should be Hegel, should belong to the Bedek HaBayis. So the halacha is, if somebody uses it, is not guilty of me'ilah. Doesn't bring a korban me'ilah, it doesn't pay a chaimish. Why? Because it's mechuber lekarka. We know it's halacha that me'ilah is only shaykh by movable things, not by a house. So somebody says, I want my house to be turned into Hegdish, and somebody else came there and lived, or he himself lived in that house, doesn't apply the laws of Me'ilah. So the one that says Ein Me'alam Boy, the same thing would be that it's considered mechuber, connected to the ground. So if somebody bows down to a house, same thing applies, it does not become Asr. Because the principle here is that even though the bricks were once talush, means they were disconnected. But once you connected them, they're considered mechuber. They're part of the ground, and that's why there's no law of me'ilah, and also there's no din that you can make it aser. How can you say it's such a halacha? Rav says that Rav argues. Rav says before that you do make it aser if you bow down for a house. It says in the Mishnah, a throw that the animals drink from that, and it's built in a hoon into a stone. You cannot use it to fill up water for chatos. You cannot use it to make kiddush, means to throw the ashes there. You cannot use it to sprinkle. Also, it has a din like karka. The halacha is that a thing that's considered like the karka does not need, if it's in a tent of a dead body, you don't need to cover it with a strong cover. You just put a flat piece of wood on it. Any paselis is a mikveh. Also, it's not considered a keli. If water from there falls into a mikveh, it doesn't become pasul. However, if it was originally a kli, so this the Reish is talking that you have a piece of stone that's in the ground, you just made some place to receive the water. But if it was originally a regular vessel, and then you just connected it with cement, then it says poistos mikveh. Then it does make possible the mikveh, and so on. In all regard, all the halachas before, we consider it like a keli, like a detached vessel. It's not considered like part of the ground. So we see from this, so in the sefer, the last part is only talking that it was already a receptacle vessel before he connected it. However, if first he connected it and then he made it into a vessel, then we consider it like a piece of karka. So if so, Rav is wrong, because Rav says that a house is, Rav said before that a house is considered like a detached object. But here we see no, that if you made it connect to the ground, and then you made it into a vessel, and actually stones that you build a house is nothing. It's not a keli. So we should say a house should also be considered like chibra v'achka chakaka. First you connect it, and then you put cement or something. So it's not considered a keli. And Rav says, it is considered like a detached object. Well, answers, Ma'od Rav, Pasala Rav, Shitusam Shalavonim Higemar Melachtu. No, everything you have to view what's the standard with that object. So we're talking about a shoykes that's meant to receive water. So we say if you didn't finish it, first you connected it to the ground and then you made a receptacle, then it's not considered tolish. It's considered like a chuber lakarka, like a piece of the land. But here, by a house, when you went ahead and you made these stones nice and then you built it, it's considered like chaka koyra saf chibray. You first made it into a keli and then you connected it, and then we say it is considered like a tolish, because it was already a keli before you connected it. So Rav says that mshtach v'labay is asroy, because of this reason, because it's already tolish. Now it says avono ve'etzav. Now we go back to our Mishnah. It says the stones and the wood, everything becomes aser, right? Mishnah says if a house falls down, a house of Avodah Zarah, so everything is metame kesheretz. Obviously it's aser ba'anoah, and also metame. So Gemara asks a question. Leisa da plig al Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish the Omer Avodah Zarah shenishber muteres. We had in the beginning of this parak, Rish Lakish says Avodah Zarah shenishbera muteres. Avodah Zarah that's broken, it becomes bottle. So here the house fell apart, it should become bottle. The Gemara says, "Lo yikein savrina meim asel lachziram lekelin v'akol aser." Omer yigidna avodah mevasanyim moim onachem koimim kemoishi asid lachziram lekelin hein ve'elu mosoim koimim. Who says he's not going to rebuild it? It fell apart, and then soon he's going to rebuild it. And we had before that if he did not move it away from their place, it means he's still planning to rebuild it. That's why Rish Lakish is moide that it stays aser. Now we have a different question here. So how does Rabbi Yochanan learn this Mishnah? Rabbi Yochanan says that you cannot make aser a house if you bow down to it. So how does he learn? How does this house become aser in the first place? So this is the Gemara's question. It's a very obvious question. The Gemara answers on that. It must be that he didn't bow down to the house. Once it's a house, he cannot bow down to it anymore. Because according to Rabbi Yochanan, if it's mechuber lekarka, we had before, Shittas Rabbi Yochanan is against the Shittas Rav. In contrast, the Rav that says you could aser a house if you bow down, Rabbi Yochanan says you cannot aser. Rabbi Yochanan said, Ein me'alam boy, we consider it like karka. So here, same story, if you bow down, nothing happens. So you must say that the Mishnah talks about Meshtach l'chol even ve'even. He bowed down to the stones itself. Tanina shalosh batim. So the next Mishnah is going to say, Halacha Zayin, there's 3 types of houses. And Mishnah says, Bais shebanoi metchila Avodah Zarah is aser. It sounds there from Mishnah that after building it, you bow down to it. Or it says, no, also the same story. Same story. We cannot interpret this Mishnah only if he bowed down to the stones itself, and then he built it. That's one only case where it becomes Aser according to Rabbi Yochanan. This is the end of Daf Chof Beis.